Hi, this is Mr. Roboto, and we are going to talk about robodraft today. Robodraft works off of the RoboCoach cheat sheets, and so you always want to start by taking a look at RoboCheat, and it usually starts you on the running backs. So what can you learn by checking out the cheat sheet before you go to robodraft? Well, you can learn how robodraft is going to get the best value for your draft. And the way it does that is by looking at these columns here. So I'll just go over them briefly. You've got NFL, tier, robo DP, and WUP. Okay, so NFL obviously is the player's team. Tier is important column. I'll come back to that. Robo is the number that Robo thinks that player will score this year in using your scoring system. RDP is the Robo draft number. So if Robo were to draft, he would take that player at 4. ADP is when human beings are taking that player, and delta is the difference between that. And so robodraft thinks that Ray Rice is 5 spots better than what the ADP would say Ray's value is. WUP is wait until pick. That is when you can wait until to pick up Ray Rice. So if the ADP is 9, then you don't want to wait much past 5, otherwise you might lose out on getting Ray Rice. And what do you lose out when you miss on Ray Rice? Well, you miss a big tier drop. You go from the first tier to the second tier, and that's that number there. Robo looks at the prediction, knowing that there's error with any prediction. Robo puts players into tiers, and so that number is more, you can be more confident that Ray Rice is going to be a top tier player, but don't expect an exact 415 outcome. Just expect Ray to be in a class all by himself this year. And that same thinking goes for any year. This is 2013, but the same thinking applies to any year, is that if there's a big drop in tier, then you want to get the players in the top tier before there's a tier drop. And so in this case, the tier drop is about 83. Okay, so that's pretty much how robodraft thinks. He's looking at these numbers, especially WUP, and he tries to put together the highest index total for you based upon these numbers. So Robo's going to try and get you in the top tier always. So if you take a look at the other positions, you can see Cam Newton in a tier all by himself. Robo's probably going to go after him. Same is going to be true for wide receiver. We've got these 4 players in the top tier, and on down through the list. So let's go into robodraft now, and when you click start robodraft, it'll check out your league to make sure you got everything set up correctly. If there's a problem with your league, it'll give you a warning here and ask you to correct it. Maybe you've got 10 teams in your league set up, but only 5 teams are recorded in RoboCoach, so you might have to go to RoboCoach and enter a few more teams. This is the beginning of my draft, and so I'm going to delete anything that might be in there and start again. Okay, and so you can see just what we saw in the cheat sheet. We see Ray Rice at the top. I should have mentioned that I already put in my draft order, but if you hadn't want to change your draft order slots, you can do that down with that link. So let's zoom in here, and you see this is what Robo has done for you. Robo has evaluated 7.09 times 10 to the 17th, so that's 10 with 17 zeros. 7 with about 17 zeros after that, that's a huge number. That's the number of possible drafts that you could have had, and out of all those drafts, Robo is saying that the best draft that you can achieve is the one that gets you 2809. and that draft is shown right here. So that's going to get you 2809 index points. It's value-based drafting, so I don't say points, I say index points. And you can Google value-based drafting if you want to find out more about that. It's really a topic unto itself, more than I can cover here. So in any event, Ray Rice is at the top of the list. His ADP is 9. His RDP is 4. My pick is 3. And so RoboDraft is saying, well, you're not going to be able to wait to the second round to get him, and we don't think that you should pass him by. So yeah, maybe you could have waited until your 5th pick, and if you can, maybe trade down, go from the 3rd pick to the 5th pick if you think you can still get him at 5. So if you got the 1st pick, you definitely want to trade down, because you don't need to use, to get Ray Rice, you don't need to use the 1st pick in the draft. Not this year. Okay, so he's a sleeper, sort of. He's going in the 1st round, but later in the 1st round. And so you can trade to like the 5th pick, the 4th or 5th pick, and still get Ray Rice. So let's zoom back out. And so as the draft goes, let's say down below, you can see the teams in my league. The first team is called Artist, second team is called Big Daddy, and so on. This is my team. And so let's say the draft goes according to Hoyle, and Adrian Peterson goes first. You can just click on Adrian Peterson, and if you look down below, you'll see Adrian Peterson is now on the Artist team. And let's say Doug Martin or Spiller goes next. Doug Martin. And now it's up to me. Okay, so the question is, do I take Ray Rice or do I let him go? And I'm going to take Ray Rice. I think that's a good pick. He's been a solid producer. And CJ Spiller just doesn't excite me this year. Neither does Jamal. Foster's having injury troubles. Marshawn Lynch is maybe in the same boat as Arian Foster. LaShawn McCoy doesn't excite me. So I'm going to go with Ray Rice. And after that, my 1st round pick is gone. And so I just click recalculate picks. And RoboDraft updates. And you can see now I'm looking at the 2nd round. And so RoboDraft is targeting Roddy White with my 2nd pick. There's 16 teams in my league, and I was the 3rd player, so I'm not going to be able to draft again until about pick 30. So Roddy White is probably going to be the best I can do in terms of wide receiver. But if you recall from RoboCheat, you saw that Roddy White was still in the top tier of wide receivers. So I'm going to get a top tier running back. I'm going to get a top tier wide receiver, and then we talked about Cam Newton being the top tier quarterback. And then I didn't get to tight ends, but Jason Witten is definitely a top tier tight end. One of the nice things that RoboDraft does is catch players who drop. So, for example, if Tony Gonzalez dropped, then I might not have to pick up Jason Witten in this spot. I might be able to get Tony Gonzalez. And RoboCoach will catch that. All I have to do is press the recalculate picks button when the time comes. And that's pretty much it. There's there's a few other fields that you should know about. There's the nuke button. So if you don't want a player for any reason, or that player is reserved or a keeper or is just not under consideration, you can nuke them. So nuked players will appear down below in the nuke list. There are no nuked players right now, so once you nuke them, you can unnuke them. So if I nuke Jamal Charles, he'll appear down in the list, and I'll not be able to select him. Let's say I nuke Roddy White. He appears down below. and now I can no longer get them, and so I'll have to recalculate to see what RoboDraft thinks I should do. Okay, well that changes a lot of things around. Now RoboDraft wants to go after DeMarco Murray and then get Jordy Nelson in the third. And in the process, I lost Cam Newton, which is a major loss. As we talked about, Cam is a big sleeper this year. He's going in the later rounds, and he's a top-tier quarterback. RoboDraft thinks he's going to be head and shoulders above the other quarterbacks in the league. So I don't want to miss out on that opportunity, especially since I'm getting him well above. I believe his WUP was well above. Excuse me, not his WUP, but his delta was a large positive delta, which means that his draft pick is not representative of his true value. So I can unnuke these players. I can unnuke Roddy just by clicking on Roddy, and then I click recalculate picks, and hopefully he'll reappear in this list. There he is again. That's great. I got Roddy, and Cam Newton again appears back in my target list, which I like because I want to get Cam, and I'm hoping that Gonzalez will drop. And then you can take a look down the list and see what other players in the middle rounds it's going after. You can see one player's got a star next to them, David Paulson, and that indicates that it's an optional pick. You don't have to go after Paulson. He's just a backup. He's not on what is called the critical path. RoboDraft is going after something called the critical path. Go ahead and Google it. You can find out what critical path means in mathematics. But in any event, you don't. The 8th round of the draft, based upon what Robo's looking at here, there's nothing there that's on the critical path, and so you can take Paulson. He was pretty much the best available tight end at that point. Or you can just take whoever might be available that you like better. Maybe you've got some sleepers in mind that Robo isn't targeting. So let's see. Let's take a look. Any other? Of course, you can see there the ADP and the RDP listed next to each of the players. You can click on the players and see player profiles. And that's it. That is RoboDraft. If at any time you want to restart, you can come down here and delete, well, if you want to like delete the last pick. So let's say I didn't want Ray Rice. I accidentally put Ray Rice in. I can click delete last pick. And now Ray is gone from my team. If you come down here, Ray's not there anymore. And if I click recalculate, you'll see that Ray pops back up. There he is. So if I were to select Arian Foster, I don't know why I would select Arian Foster this year because I'm concerned about his health, but let's just say I did, then I would click recalculate picks. And Robo still wants me to go after Roddy in Cam. That didn't change things around. Okay. And then there's other features here. You can, I'm going to reorder the draft slots. I can go in and change the draft slots of all the players involved. Of course, once I do that, it'll delete everything. So I may not want to do that, but yeah, be aware that. Oops, there we go. Click back on RoboDraft to get back in the draft room. So this other feature is nice. If you click Save Draft Results to RoboCoach, then it'll take your entire draft, everything you see down here in this table, and then save it to RoboCoach. And if you do that, then RoboCoach will be able to give you all the information that he provides. Depth charts every week, waiver suggestions every week, trade suggestions every week, etc. So there's definitely, when you're done with RoboDraft, you want to click Save Results to RoboCoach. And that way you can. I'm going to click delete and start again. That's one of the nice things. If you want to practice, do mock drafts, you can always come back and start all over, and everything's gone. But when you go through a real draft and it's your league, you definitely want to click Save the Draft Results to RoboCoach and get all that information that RoboCoach provides you. Thanks again. This is Mr. Roboto, and that was RoboDraft.